Hello my friends, welcome back to another video, or if you're new here, welcome in. My name is Ian with Out of This World Reader, and today's video is going to be my August TBR. I'm actually a bit proud of myself about how many books I read last month, because if you didn't see that video, it was pretty ambitious, and I picked up several of those books. And I didn't think I was going to get through all of them, but somehow I got through most of them. So this month, it isn't going to be as ambitious as last month because I will be moving, as well as kind of finals for summer classes, which has just been absolutely a blast. If you've taken summer classes, you might know what I mean. But so it's going to be a kind of a slower month. As far as kind of reading, I don't think I will have much time to pick up, but I still packed it full of books. We've got a good mix here, and I think without further ado, we're just gonna hop in with everything that I plan on picking up. First up, we have the conclusion to the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie, which is The Last Argument of Kings. And this series has become a new favorite of mine. I fell in love with the Blade itself and all the characters that Joe Abercrombie kind of introduced. And so far, that is some of the best character work that I've ever encountered in my reading experience. And I just love spending time with these morally gray characters that are at times feel like villains. But most of the time, actually all the time, I'm rooting for them. I feel like Glocta and just Logan are becoming favorites, as well as kind of in the second book it expanded on the world. You got more of the plot, as well as kind of it fleshed out more of the characters that you saw through the first book. You got kind of little glimpses of them, but in the second book it really kind of left off at kind of where the series is going and what's gonna kind of how it's going to conclude in the third book. And just based on what I've heard, I'm kind of a bit nervous to see how it's all going to kind of conclude, because Joe Abercrombie does not hold back punches, and I feel like he thinks you think you're gonna go this way as far as kind of with just the tropes and how everything is usually kind of done within fantasy, but then he's just like, nope, that's where we go. So I'm really hoping that it really concludes off with a bang and it becomes just a new favorite of mine. It already is, but I'm hoping that it kind of sticks the landing and becomes just an all-time favorite. That way I can kind of move on to just the rest within the First Law world, as well as kind of just all the standalones and just his new series that he's kind of coming out that is kind of set apart from First Law. So I'm very interested to see what kind of Joe Abercrombie comes out with in the future, as well as how it all finishes off with Last Argument of Kings. And then speaking of great character work, I also started one of the kind of pinnacles of just the fantasy genre, and it has become a favorite among a lot. It's got like 16 book series within just the realm of the Elderlings, and last month I picked up Assassin's Apprentice, and this month I just need to continue on with Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb, which is the second book in the Farseer trilogy. I was in the beginning of Assassin's Apprentice, I was a bit worried at kind of how I was going to end up enjoying this or not, because you definitely spend a lot of time within Fitz's mind, and he doesn't hold back on his descriptions of the world and the encounters that he goes through. But it is really needed for me in general, because I just love spending time with the characters and seeing him grow. You see him as a young boy, like he's dropped off at the gates of Buckkeep at like 6, and he just goes through one heartbreak after another. And it is just absolutely just kind of tear-jerking through the first book. And where it left off, I have a feeling that just based on what I've heard, that you continue to see him grow and go through trials and tribulations. And I really just enjoy just what was really going on within the Six Duchies, as well as kind of what Robin Hobb was kind of hinting at this larger world that she's kind of encompassed within the realm of the Elderlings. I can't wait to check out more with like the I think it's like the live ship traders, as well as kind of there's like a whole dragon quartet. There's just a lot, and there's just more books with Fitz, and I can't wait to check out more of them. But first, got to get through Royal Assassin, and I have a feeling that this one's going to get 5 stars as well. I loved Assassin's Apprentice, and I feel like it can only continue to get better from that first book. This next fantasy pick is by the granddaddy himself, and I'm finally starting to read it, starting my journey within Middle-earth, and that is going to be The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. I'm currently reading The Hobbit and I'm absolutely loving it. I love how kind of Gandalf is always just there to kind of save the day out of nowhere. Like he just pops up just out of the blue, and he kind of saves the hobbits and Bilbo, as well as kind of just their interactions, the singing, and just the little glimpses of the world that J.R. Tolkien has created within just like this tiny section of Middle Earth. But I have a feeling that the writing and everything is going to switch and have like a drastic change. I have a feeling. I don't know. Could be completely wrong, but at times it does feel younger within The Hobbit, and it's just going to kind of switch gears within the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And I've been kind of hyped to pick up the series and finish it before the Rings of Power TV show comes out, and I really want to watch the movies and both The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings movies, because I haven't either. I haven't had the books or the movies, so I'm kind of behind. But so far, based on how much I've loved The Hobbit, I feel like that's going to carry over into the Lord of the Rings trilogy, as well as kind of what he's kind of got going within Middle-earth, to see how it's kind of inspired everything that's come after. So I'm really excited to continue on within the Fellowship of the Ring. The last fantasy pick is actually going to be Furysong by Rosaria Munda. This is the final book within the Aurelian cycle, and I'm really nervous to see how it's all going to finish off. This is probably one of my favorites, if not my favorite YA series of all time. It is kind of up there with the Percy Jackson series. I feel like it holds a special place in my heart. Just the characters, Annie and Lee, are some of the best I've ever kind of read from within the YA genre, as well as kind of the dragons, the academy, the stakes, and kind of the twists and turns that are kind of thrown in there throughout. And I've kind of been rereading it. I read both the first two books last month, and it was just a blast to be back in that world and to see just everything from like a reread perspective, and kind of seeing all the things that I missed. And I'm really nervous for this final book, because Flamefall doesn't hold back on the punches, and Fireborn didn't either. But just based on how Flamefall ended, because I've kind of forgot a little bit of how it is, kind of how that finished off. So it was great to kind of get a reread and refresh my memory, because it definitely left off on a big cliffhanger, and I'm very excited to see how it's all going to conclude, and where kind of a Rosaria Munda kind of comes out without in the future. It is definitely a great read, and if you haven't picked it up, now is the perfect time, because the final book comes out I think it's like at the end of August, so it is just a perfect kind of binge read to kind of get it all and finish it off. But so far, all the books have been 5 stars, and I have a feeling that Furysong is going to get the 5 stars as well. Switching over into some sci-fi, it's time to get back into The Expanse. I've missed it. I'm going to be picking up the 4th book, Cibola Burn by James S.A. Corey. I'm not sure where this kind of series is planning on going. Just based on how the 3rd book ended, I have an idea, but it's like 9 books, so I have no idea what way it's kind of going to go through these final, 5 books after this one. I was a bit disappointed by the 3rd book, but I have a feeling that we're going to get more of the crew of the Rocky, which is what I enjoy about this series. I just love their interactions and banter. Amos is probably my favorite out of the whole crew. I think he's just like this big old bulky mechanic. And I've been switching between this and the Sun Eater trilogy now. I think I'm going to go one per month and then go to the other series and kind of continue on between these 2 space operas. And we'll see kind of how it goes. I was hoping to finish this before the year's out, but I am going to kind of savor the experience and the enjoyment, because if you haven't heard my reviews or kind of just my thoughts on the rest of the series, I've just absolutely fell in love with The Expanse. I've always dreamed of traveling the stars, and this is one of the series that I can do that in. So I can't wait to kind of dive back into what's going on within this series and where it's kind of going to lead. And then we have one of my kind of most anticipated releases. Is by one of my favorite kind of sci-fi thriller authors of all time, and I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to be picking it up. It's already out, and a lot of people have already been kind of praising it and loving it. And that is Upgrade by Blake Crouch. I think this is a perfect book to kind of squeeze in between all these other thick books, because I've read all of his other books like within 1 or 2 days. So they're just quick sci-fi thrillers that just keep you on the edge of your seat throughout the experience. This one kind of talks about human genomes and kind of altering our genes. Recursion was kind of like a detective with kind of memory that was also pretty good. And then Dark Matter is probably my favorite, but I'm really hoping to enjoy this. I just really enjoy everything he kind of discusses within his topics of kind of the future. And it's a bit scary to kind of realize what he's kind of, these ideas that he's got. And then I think it was like Summer Frost, which is like a collection within the Forward collection. I did a whole review on it. But it kind of talked about AI, and that absolutely freaks me out. That was a blast as well. Really short, but just based on kind of the human genome and where kind of our future is leading, I have a feeling that this is going to kind of give me a little bit of a spook as well. So I'm expecting this to be 5 stars, and I can't wait to squeeze it in. Another one that I've mentioned for several months now, I just haven't had the chance to pick it up yet. This is on like my summer TBR, and I wanted to pick it up last month, but I just didn't get the chance, and that is This Is How You Lose a Time War. I already talked about this quite a bit, so I won't kind of go much in depth, but just based on how short it is and the kind of the praise that I've heard about it and how much a lot of people really enjoyed it, I'm really excited to kind of get into it. Kind of discusses like alternate dimensions, kind of two corporations at war with each other. Sounds right up my alley, and I can't wait to get to it. And the last kind of regular book here, I just got like a kind of poetry, kind of short story collection, and then a nonfiction, and that is Paper Towns by John Green. I picked up Looking for Alaska. That was on my like summer TBR because I was kind of expecting it to be a little bit of romance. It was not at all. I listened to it as an audiobook in like 2 days, and I plan on doing the same for this. But since I was kind of looking for like a little bit of romance with Wayne, Looking for Alaska, if you've read that, you might know that that is not what is going on with it. I had some problems with it, but I still overall kind of enjoyed it. But I'm hoping that this one kind of gives me what I'm looking for to kind of help me with my writing. But we'll see how it goes. If you've read this, please let me know. I know there's a movie about this one as well, so maybe I'll kind of read the book and then watch the movie. We'll see how the month kind of turns out. But I don't know, I could be completely wrong about this one. And just all of his books are kind of completely heartbreaking because I know The Fault in the Stars. I've heard quite a bit about that, and I've kind of been spoiled about that, and I know there isn't much of a happy ending in that, so maybe that's just how all John Green's books are, and I just am going in with the wrong expectations. And that kind of little poetry collection, short story collection, is by Rilke, and it is Letters to a Young Poet. I really want to kind of dive into Rilke's work, as well as just a lot of other just poetry and just short story collections, and I've heard nothing but great things about Rilke, and especially this work. So I'm really hoping that I could just kind of squeeze it in throughout the month and start it, and if not finish it, continue it next month. And it's really short, and I've just heard great things about it. And just it's a pinnacle, and it's a must read for just a lot of creative minds and just everyone in general. And just the things that he kind of discusses in here, it just will change your mindset on a lot of things. So I'm hoping that I can get that through this. And similar to that last book, I would hope to start Atomic Habits by James Clear, and if not finish it this month, continue on. This is one of those non-fiction books that you see everywhere, and it's like, read this and it'll change your mind, or change your life. Just everyone has kind of picked it up and praised that it's kind of absolutely changed their life. So I'm hoping maybe with kind of my college experience kind of coming to a close and entering the job force, that maybe I will kind of learn some atomic habits to continue on with my adult life. That scary kind of change. We'll see how it goes. But those are all my reading plans. We'll see how the month goes. I'm hoping to get to all of these, and I actually think that I will be able to. We'll see how it goes. But that is going to be all for today's video. If you did enjoy, please consider liking and subscribing so you never miss out on another adventure. But it is time for Ellie to come on here and first wish you all to have a splendid day. But she also says that adventure is out there. So I'll catch you next time. Bye.